So, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a new lineup every few weeks. Whoever we're supposed to be furious at this month, destroying our way of life, ruining everything. Pick your apocalypse. Stick with me here because I swear to you video is not a political rant. But this list is as long as it is ridiculous, but it kind of needs to be said to get to my point. I promise you I am going somewhere else with all of this. Right now, the ridiculous roster includes, but definitely is not limited to, immigrants, trans folks, anyone in the LGBTQ plus community, women's rights advocates, anybody who supports inclusion, anyone who thinks the environment is worth protecting, Antifa, the radical left, communists, protesters, whatever we are calling the deep state this week, the media, non-Christians, neighboring nations, because apparently even the direction the wind blows is their fault too now, and, of course, all the drugs. Canada sends crews and planes when our forests are burning, and apparently these days we send tariff threats when theirs are. Pick a week and pick a scapegoat. It is hard not to be anxious or angry or to just stick your head in the sand and ignore all of it. But in the middle of all that noise, a 4-year-old showed me how beautiful a strawberry was, and that is the important stuff. And that is what we are going to talk about today, the important stuff. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rachel. Now, I am not going to pretend the world isn't a mess right now. It is. The anger's gotten louder, the targets keep rotating, and it's exhausting in a way that sits on your chest, even when nothing bad has happened to you personally that day. That's not a controversial thing to say. That is just another day of the week. But I've had a strange few days. Well, not so strange, actually. Kind of eye-opening, really. A string of small, totally ordinary moments that kept stacking up on top of each other until I couldn't ignore them anymore. And I think they're worth telling you about because it's all about the little things. Before I get to that, though, Marcus Aurelius was writing about this same feeling almost 2,000 years ago. Book 3 of Meditations. He goes on this little tangent about bread. How when it bakes, it cracks open at the top in these random little splits, and how those cracks weren't planned by the baker. They just happen. And about how they make the bread more appealing, not less. He does the same thing talking about grain bending under its own weight, or figs splitting when they're the ripest. His point was that if you're paying attention, the unplanned, incidental stuff of the ordinary day is where the beauty actually lives. Not despite being ordinary, because of it. So, here is my week in a nutshell. I ran into a friend in the grocery store. She had her grandbaby with her. She was maybe 4 years old. We were standing in the produce section chatting, and her grandbaby turns around and reaches into the cart behind her, picks up this container of strawberries, shows them to me and says, "Aren't they beautiful? Mimi and I are going home to eat some." Totally unprompted, freaking adorable. She just wanted to show me the beautiful strawberries. Then, a couple of nights ago, I was sitting out here because it was a rare, breezy, cool night in the middle of a disgusting Midwest summer. There were fireflies everywhere, and I spent probably an hour just watching them. I mean, when was the last time you sat outside and just watched the fireflies? Then I looked up and realized we are almost at a full moon, and that made me happy, because I love to sit outside during a full moon. And Reggie, being Reggie, was just tearing around the yard, chasing his ball and herding all the drainage pipe, occasionally chasing some of the fireflies. Pure joy, no reason, just a dog who was glad to be a dog on a beautiful night. One morning, I was out here enjoying my coffee, and a few deer meandered along the fence line, just grazing as the sun came up. There were some out there this morning. I can't tell you what a peaceful start to my day that was before I did my meditation. Then later, I was watering the garden and the dog, but I noticed how my tomatoes and my zucchini and my peppers changed from the day before. And it hit me how fascinating it is that I get to watch something I planted grow bigger every single day. Oh, and the birds at my feeders, and the hummingbirds. Do I even need to say anything more about them? I mean, hummingbirds are my spirit animal. And speaking of birds, Cute story. We have a neighborhood goose. His name is Beaky. Or her, honestly. I have no idea. A neighborhood kid found the egg abandoned along the river that runs behind our subdivision. Took the egg home, nursed it in their garage until it hatched. And now that goose has imprinted on the family, and it just wanders the neighborhood here like he pays taxes. When they leave, Beaky flies behind their truck until they get out of the subdivision. Then he slowly works his way back home. I say good morning to Beaky every single day on our walk. Reggie used to bark and lunge at him. Now he just looks over and wags his tail like they've got some kind of a secret understanding. Then there's the evening it rained, and I sat on the front porch just watching and listening. The rain, the thunder, didn't do anything else really, just sat there smelling the rain because if you know, you know. And then there's this guy that lives in the subdivision down the road. His son went to school with my daughter. I run into him out walking a lot. He also has stage 4 breast cancer because, yes, men get it too. We got to talking about scanxiety, because I had just had my quarterly scan and I had to wait a week for the results. I hadn't realized how much that waiting was wearing on me until I said it out loud. He spent 20 minutes just talking to me about it because he's been there, and he knew I needed to say it to someone who understood the feeling. And then there is this community, the kindness, the generosity, the support, how you guys make me laugh, the support towards me, towards other people who comment, the way you pick up what I put down and you take it even further. It's a really good vibe. You guys prove every week that kindness and wonder are still out here, whether you agree or disagree with what I've said. And then, finally, last week, the Union Pacific Big Boy rolled through town, the most powerful operating steam locomotive in the world. We drove out to my brother-in-law's farm just to watch it go by. It has been all over the news as it crosses the country. Grown adults making a pilgrimage just to watch a train with the same joy and fascination as little kids. And I kind of loved that because in a world that's constantly trying to grind the wonder out of us, tons of people are finding a reason to stand in fields and along railroad tracks just to feel like a kid again. That's a lot of inconsequential things to share, I know, but that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. It's not just one strawberry. It's a whole week full of them if you're paying attention. Iris Murdoch had this idea she called unselfing. It's about deflating what she called the fat, relentless ego through the pure contemplation of beauty in nature. She said that really looking at something outside yourself, she used a bird outside her window as the example, is one of the only reliable ways to get a break from the noise in your own head. You cannot be spiraling about the news and marveling about a bird at the same time. The attention itself is the relief. She said that learning to look away from ourselves and paying close attention to the real world is the first step towards goodness. And Simone Weil, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, put it even more plainly. She said attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Not gifts, not grand gestures, just giving someone or something your undivided, genuine focus. It changes you. According to Weil, true attention costs nothing materially, but it's the hardest thing to give because it forces us to put our ego aside and make another person's well-being central. Look, the world is stressful. It really does feel like it's going to hell some days. I am not trying to tell anybody otherwise. But there is still beauty everywhere, and there is still an enormous amount of kindness happening every single day right in front of us. We're just so busy scanning the horizon for the next train wreck that we miss the actual trains. The good ones, the big boy kind. So, I'm just here to tell you, be the person who notices. Be the person who says it out loud. Point at the strawberries. Point out the goose. Watch the deer. Take the time to look at nature. Watch people. Bring back your inner kid and remember that there is beauty within the crap. That is it. That is the whole practice. Now, there's a handful of songs that come to mind for me here because, of course, there are. I have actually been making a playlist, just some reminder music, if you will. Rob Thomas has one called Little Wonders, and honestly, the title alone says most of what I'm trying to say in this whole video. Darius Rucker's Have a Good Time is basically a direct order to stop sweating the small stuff. The Alternate Routes have one called Nothing More. The New Radicals have You Get What You Give. And if you need any more reminders that joy and hardship coexist, just go put on some Shabuzi. But if you want the one that says it all for me, Macy Gray, Beauty in the World. Give it a listen. I will link that one down below. I cannot tell you how often I dance around my house to that and sing or blast it when I'm driving around in my Jeep with the doors off. You cannot help but be in a good mood when you hear it. If you've got other suggestions for that kind of playlist, send them my way, please. Now, get off the internet and go find the beauty in the world. Thanks for watching. Take care of you, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.